Google's ROI is just fallen through the floor. The owner's panicking, they've got no idea why this is happening. And I'm going to walk you through how to solve this far too common a problem. I'm going to walk you through my process of how I actually diagnose a situation where ROI out of the blue suddenly collapses for no obvious reason. They had been achieving a 1 to 10 ROI. It's been a great summer. Budgets have been knocked back, it's now the dead season. And they're just about to kickstart the Christmas season as soon as Halloween's out the way. So ROI suddenly falling over the weekend is a real problem, and we need great ROI to launch the new season. Let's jump straight in and head into Google Ads. Straight away, in the overview screen, we can see something obvious. The traffic looks steady, but the conversion value is falling away, it's sliding down. First, let's set our date range. I think the date this occurred on is around the 13th. Perfect. So now we're looking at the overview screen. You can see the clicks, the conversions in red, and you can see the value, the cost, and basically the ROI line. Straight away, you can see that the cost has stayed pretty consistent, and clicks, they haven't moved too far, they're fairly stable. But that red line, the conversions, it's steadily dropping away, and that's the first big signal that something's wrong. If you'd like to isolate a particular metric on the overview screen, you can just click on each of the boxes to hide them or activate them. Let's leave the red one up, and you should be able to clearly see now the conversions have fallen sharply. Oh, you might be new here. I'm John Langley, founder of Click Convert Marketing. I've got a team of 25 Google Ads specialists, and we've helped generate over 1.5 billion in revenue for small businesses with offices in California and the UK. It would really help me if you'd like, subscribe and add a comment. And if you'd like an Ads Pro to walk you through your account, book a free Google Ads review. Use your phone to scan the QR code on the screen. There's a link in the description, or visit clickconvertmarketing.com. Okay, let's return to detective mode. Some people work top down, but I like to dig around a bit at all levels. So let's go and look at an individual campaign. Let's find one with some volume, and that should give us some clues. I can see a shopping general campaign. It's got a decent amount of volume, and that should give us enough data to work with. Oh, it's loading now, we can see that perfect. It's pretty clear this is a broad catch-all campaign. It's got all the product ad groups. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It was running nicely up until around the 7th or the 8th. Then after that, the results just fall off. Conversions more or less grind to a halt. The clicks, as I've stated previous, stayed pretty much constant. They haven't really moved at all, which tells us traffic volume isn't the problem. So we need to dig deeper and start investigating why has performance dropped when traffic hasn't. Let's dig a bit deeper. Let's go switch over to the performance submenu and let's look at our impressions. Interestingly, impressions have stayed pretty steady too. No big drop here, yet conversions absolutely fallen away. That's a little strange. When clicks and impressions hold steady but conversions crash, it usually means something else has changed. Maybe on site, maybe tracking, possibly pricing or offer related. Let's just keep digging here. Let's go look at the competitive metrics, specifically the impression share. I just want to check that we haven't been pushed out of the market and been left to pick up lower quality clicks with buyers with limited buying intent. That's loaded. That's looking pretty solid too, actually. Impression share is holding steady, no major drop. This tells me impressions are consistent, clicks are consistent, our share of the market hasn't really changed. At this point, all the surface level metrics look stable, which means the issue isn't traffic or competition. So the next logical step is to head over to change history and see if there's actually anything been altered inside the campaign for this. We can see that there's been some changes made around the 13th, but remember the issue started roughly around the 8th, so we don't want to look at the 13th. Looking back for the log, it seems most of these are just budget adjustments. I can see it going from 44 to 42, then back to 45, and then gain to 42. Nothing major here that would affect conversions, never mind ROI. The client had mentioned to me they've been tweaking budgets slightly across the campaigns, and that lines up with that here. But honestly, these are small changes. They wouldn't cause a sudden crash in ROI or conversions. We can safely rule that out. Let's jump back and check the average CPCs just to make sure there's nothing strange has occurred. We can see that around the 13th is a bit of a jump, but I think that's because we're looking at this in retrospect, and after the issue was fixed, we did nudge the bids a bit to recover the market share once things started improving. So there's nothing unusual here. CPCs, impressions, search impression share all look clean and stable. Normally, you can go and look at the search terms over here, but as everything's inside Google looks pretty consistent, I don't think that's where the problem lies. My gut feeling is that there's something external to Google. So let's nip over and go and have a look at Google Analytics GA4. So jumped over to Google Analytics. Let's go to reports, then lifecycle, acquisition, and my favorite report, traffic acquisition. Straight away, you can see it. Everything's just fallen off a cliff. The graph has just gone completely flat. What's interesting here is that it's not just paid traffic that's dropped. Every channel has gone, organic, direct, referral, all of them. That's immediately concerning. Now, we do know from Google Ads that it's still been running and we've been spending and there have been consistent clicks. So the traffic we know hasn't actually stopped. That leads me to believe that there isn't really a traffic drop. It's almost certainly a tracking issue here. Something's gone wrong in the data pipeline between the website and analytics. So my next thought is to check the real-time mode, and that shows us how many people are actually on a live website. And when we did that, there was only one active user on the website, which didn't make sense. So to test it, and what you can do as well, is we opened several incognito windows and had a few people visit the site at the same time. Even then, analytics just kept showing one active user. To me, that confirmed it. This wasn't a tracking issue inside Google Ads. There was a site-wide tracking problem with GA4 Google Analytics. The next step was to dig a little deeper. I wanted just to look at the transactions, just check them themselves to see what was actually being recorded. The data on the screen here is a little different now, but when we actually looked at it on the day, there was only one transaction recorded for the day. So I rang the client up and they confirmed they'd had a lot more orders up to that point in the day, yet analytics was only showing one of them. That confirmed it. There's definitely a problem with how the data is being passed through. Sales were happening, but they weren't being tracked. Next, I spoke to the client's web developer. And what do you know? It turns out on the 8th, they'd installed BigCommerce's built-in cookie consent plugin. Straight away I said, that's a problem straight there. The cookie consent problem isn't working properly and it's failing to record the user's consent to cookie collection of data. And that meant it was blocking Google Analytics completely. It wasn't granting permissions for tracking, which meant that Google Analytics data wasn't being transferred into it. I'd asked what configuration settings they had, and it turned out they said there was really limited settings that they had. They didn't really feel there were any settings they could adjust. So my advice in this case was quite simple. Remove the BigCommerce cookie consent plugin immediately. Let's take it off now. I checked and they didn't have the Google Tag Manager set up. So I said, okay, no problem. We'll fix that now. We created a Google Tag Manager. We sent them the container code, sent them over, and they got that installed on the website pronto. Next, we went over, set up a cookie script consent mode. We signed up, there's a link on the screen here, and we went through and we set up the cookie consent and we put that into the tag manager and we deployed it. And within half an hour, everything started showing again. Tracking was restored, data started flowing again. Great news. But finally, we had to remember that Google Ads' AI system uses hysterical data. But our data, and if you suffer from a situation similar to this where it goes wrong for a period of time, is now corrupt. And that had occurred because the tracking wasn't working. So we're facing a problem now that Google Ads going forward might start making decisions on this data when it had just collapsed and fallen off a cliff. So what you need to do, and what we needed to do as well, was to exclude that data for the period of the tracking issue within Google Ads. So if you go back to Google Ads and you go over to Tools, Budgets and Biddings, Adjustments, there are two links at the top of the page underneath the title, Seasonal and Exclusions. Click the Exclusions link. In our case, we've already added in the exclusion. You can see it listed here, but this is how you do it. You click on the blue round button, choose the date range that the issues were occurring for you, and then what you do is you go and exclude all the platforms such as mobile, desktop, and you'd exclude the campaign types that you want to exclude. In our case, it was just across the board, so it was a wide data issue, so we excluded all and we clicked. This step is really important. It allows Google Ads to reference the data collected correctly. It enables it to remove the broken data set, so that there's a gap there in your reporting, and AI is just able to exclude it so that it doesn't start modeling your Google Ads on inaccurate data. Hopefully you found this useful, and maybe it helped you think through and how to troubleshoot your own ROI drops in Google Ads. Sometimes the issue isn't Google Ads at all. It's usually something external, like tracking in this situation here. But once you get used to looking where to look, you can get things back on track pretty fast. And when things go wrong in an account, don't hide, don't resist, systematically work through the account to uncover the reason. Fix it, and finally that will make Google Ads work for you again, and don't forget to exclude the data when it was corrupted. So if you liked the video, please like the video, comment in there what your #1 Google Ads fear or challenge is at the moment, and also you can also book a free consultation. The QR code's on the screen, link below, or you can visit clickconvertmarketing.com. We'd love to help you if you're experiencing any issues with Google Ads. So until next time guys, bye.